St. Michael's Home is an institution of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese that has been caring for the elderly members of the Greek American community for over 40 years. Hello, I'm Ernie Anastos, reporting from Yonkers, New York. You know, when our grandparents and parents first came to this country, they formed small communities with their fellow Greeks, trying to recreate what they had left behind: the tight-knit extended family, the church, the family home, the village coffee shop. Neighborhoods called Greektown began popping up in different cities all across the United States. And clustered around these neighborhoods, 2 or 3 generations of a family lived in the same house. The smell of yaya's cooking was a common childhood memory for Greek children growing up in America. The early immigrants built a new church that became, like in the old country, the center of community life. The village cafeteria was realized in the local neighborhood diner. In this setting, retirement planning for the majority of Greek Americans has traditionally meant staying near or with their children. For their children, the idea of placing their parents in a faceless institution was unthinkable. Social change, however, was swift and unavoidable. Our Greek community has not been immune to the rapid developments in American society. Children have moved to different cities, seeking to take advantage of the country's economic prosperity. Now, this mobility has created a whole new reality. Women have joined the workforce, and elderly parents living at home were left alone and unattended. 4 decades ago, the then head of our Archdiocese, Archbishop Michael, had the foresight and the pastoral sensitivity to address these precise needs of our community by opening To Spiti tou Protoporou, or the Home of the Pioneer, in 1958. It was called that because the first residents of the home were the early immigrants, the pioneers of our community here in the United States. During the late 60s, His Eminence Archbishop Iakovos renamed the institution to St. Michael's Home in honor of Archbishop Michael. Today, 4 decades later, St. Michael's Home continues to offer quality care and comfort to hundreds of elderly members of our community.
I truly believe that St. Michael's is the model that needs to be replicated. What we need in our society is smaller facilities, only about 50 to 60 patients, which cater to patients' cultural background so that they retain their dignity and they feel loved. And that's what St. Michael's give. I couldn't sing its praises high enough.
My mother was here for 2.5 years, the last 2.5 years of her life. We just lost her in February. But they were the best years she had had in the last 12, without question. This is a home. This is not an institution. They love them here. And then, of course, there was the Greek environment, and that means everything. You hear the Greek music, you smell the Greek food, you see the church. That's something that you can't have anyplace else. And even if you have your mother in your home, it is not the same thing. She had friends here. She just loved it.
You've heard me mention our community a few times already. For most of us, our identity is a very important issue. No matter how American we are, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th generation, we preserve and propagate the traditions and customs of our heritage that our parents and grandparents passed on to us. Our church here has played a leading role in this effort. A bright example is this home, a home that allows its residents to find a place where these very traditions are alive and well, and where their faith can be lived in a very tangible and meaningful way.
Κρίνες ζώντας και νεκρούς, ούτε εις βασιλείας, ούτε εις ατέλους, και στο πνεύμα το Άγιον, το Κύριον, το Τοπιόν, το Ευκατρός.
Σώσον ο Θεός των λαών σου και ευλόγησον την κληρονομία σου.
There are other, much larger, more beautiful facilities, but none offers the unique environment of St. Michael's, where residents can maintain their traditions, but more importantly, worship on a regular basis.
St. Michael's is a very unique facility. They have their chapel, which is an important part of their daily routine here at the home. They are afforded the opportunity on a regular basis to attend the Divine Liturgy, to chant the Paraklesis service. They can partake of the sacraments, and they can live out the traditions and customs which were such an important part of their lives for many years. The cutting of the Vasilopita, the cracking of red eggs at Pascha, the blessing of their rooms on the first of the month after we celebrate the Ayasmos service.
Today, our society is experiencing a serious demographic change. We're all aware of discussions about Social Security, Medicare, and retirement planning. The reason for the heightened anxiety is simple. We as a country are getting older, fast. The fastest growing segment of the American populace is that of 65 and up, and it's estimated that in 20 years or so, 1 out of every 4 Americans will belong to this group. People live longer. The news of someone celebrating his or her 100th birthday is not so unusual anymore. Think about it though. People in their 90s cannot rely on their children to take care of them. The kids are probably senior citizens themselves. Given these demographics, it is almost certain that many of us will choose to live in facilities specifically designed to serve the needs of elderly residents. Actually, we see it all around us. People migrate from their lives in the big city to retirement homes or communities designed a lot of times around a religious institution. Whether they're Catholic, Protestant, or Jewish, retirees choose to center their lives in a facility that will cater to their spiritual and cultural as well as their physical needs. In this respect, St. Michael's is the only facility of its type specifically serving the Greek Orthodox population in the United States.
The greatest misconception about St. Michael's is that the residents are neglected or abandoned either by their families or by society at large. As I'm sure any visitor can St. Michael's see, the majority, if not all of our residents, are very happy with their stay here because they've come to a place where their needs, both physical and emotional or spiritual, are being met. They feel like they are still members of the church, of the community, living their lives in a loving environment.
St. Michael's does not confine its residents. Those who are able have complete freedom to come and go as they please, and they're actually encouraged to maintain their normal relationships with their families, their friends, and their community. Not only are visitors always welcome, but the home encourages members from various organizations of the church and the Greek American community to visit. The residents are especially delighted whenever they receive the youth groups from different local parishes and parochial schools. These are moments that are cherished by young and old alike. The residents at St. Michael's take advantage of the home's minibus, allowing them easy transportation to cultural and social events, or just a visit to the mall. When we talk about St. Michael's home, we must talk about the staff. These are dedicated professionals who make every effort to maintain the residents' physical and intellectual integrity while encouraging them to preserve their independence and dignity. At St. Michael's, residents are treated like family members with the same love and respect.
They loved my mother, and my mother loved them. That's, to me, there's no compensation for that. I can't give them anything back that will compensate them for what they did for her and for us. St. Michael's gets them up in the morning, gets them dressed in the morning, gets them down to breakfast, has their pills ready for them at their place where they eat. They help them to walk. If she had a little trouble, there was somebody always running over to make sure that she wasn't going to fall. It's like living in a hotel. If you live in a hotel, your meals are done, your bed is done. She said to me before she came here, "Oh dear, where's the laundry room?" And I said to her, "Mom, you don't have to worry about that anymore. They take care of you." They take care of my laundry? She couldn't believe it. This is like a high-class hotel with family. It's wonderful.
I come to St. Michael's twice weekly on Tuesday and Friday. It's an exercise program geared to the residents here so that it's specific kind of to their needs. We run kind of a range of motion strengthening program that it's really composed for using full body exercise for their arms, legs, trunk. At some part of the exercise program they stand and they do a whole aerobic component to the exercise regime. Their endurance and stamina really to exercise has increased greatly. I would say that prior to when I first started, they did maybe a 20-minute routine, and now they easily go 45 minutes.
Imagine how comforting it is for our family members to enjoy round-the-clock attention by a caring and dedicated staff. Another reassuring fact is that the residents here receive regular medical checkups by affiliated specialists. Those regularly visiting the home are a geriatric specialist, an internist, podiatrist, psychiatrist, audiologist, optometrist, hematologist, as well as technicians who provide X-ray, EKG, blood, and other testing to ensure the well-being of the residents. By the way, St. Michael's Home is in close proximity to several hospitals and other medical facilities for those who may need emergency care.
If you feel loved and you feel cared for, then that's everything. And that's the feeling that you get at St. Michael's. I'm one of 2 physicians who come once a week to take care of the patients, and we take care of all aspects of their medical care. We prescribe their medications, we order the lab tests, and I also take care of the patients when they need hospitalizations. We use the local hospital, which is 5 minutes away, and that is St. Joseph's.
You know, one thing that often surprises me and gives me pride about our community is our self-reliance. I'm reminded of it when I see institutions like this one. St. Michael's Home does not receive any subsidies from governmental agencies or the Archdiocese. The home depends entirely on boarding fees from the residents and from donations that account for almost 1/3 of their budget. And yet no one is ever turned away if they cannot afford to pay for their stay at the home. It is, after all, the sacred duty of a philanthropic institution of the Church.
We are able to provide them with care only because we have individuals who help us cover our expenses because of our newly implemented recreation program and the many activities that we have put into the daily routine of the residents. Their attitude has changed, their view of life has changed, and many of them are enjoying life to its fullest in spite of whatever limitations they may have as elderly individuals.
Since the day St. Michael's Home opened its doors, hundreds of Greek Orthodox women and men have received physical and spiritual care and comfort in these rooms. They create an extended family of people with a common religious and ethnic background, but also with people who bring similar life experiences to their common table.
My yaya wanted to stay in her house until she died, but it became evident that she couldn't live by herself anymore. We were all praying for a long time about how we can take care of her in the best way. And now that she's here, we know it's the best place for her. My grandmother, I think, really enjoys it here. From what the residents are telling me, she's having a good time because when they have visitors, they always bring out the CD player and they start playing the Greek music. And Yaya is from Kalamata, so as soon as she hears the music, she's up and dancing. She was always a great dancer. The consensus of the family, now that she's here, is that our prayers have been answered.
While most residents naturally come from the New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut areas, individuals are also accepted from other states. Most recently, residents came from Colorado, Florida, and North Carolina. St. Michael's should be the prototype for the establishment of similar institutions under the auspices of the Church throughout the nation in large metropolitan areas with heavy Greek Orthodox populations. Our elderly must not be deprived of the opportunity to enjoy quality care in a Greek Orthodox environment. Other ethnic groups have established facilities for their senior citizens. Can we afford to do less? That's why, if your family is contemplating a retirement environment for a loved one, I urge you to call and schedule a visit. You'll feel more confident about St. Michael's Home once you've met and spoken with the people who work here and those who've chosen to make this place their home.
I see my task as a priest, as a spiritual father, serving the needs of an elderly population who have their own spiritual needs and thirst for the love which God can offer them.
I truly, truly believe that it's an uplifting experience working here, being here.
I would say that the overwhelming energy that comes forth is the caring of the staff.
I always got the feeling that the staff here treated the residents as though they were their grandparents and their parents.
It's always been like I'm visiting Yaya at home.
If you would like more information on St. Michael's Home or a private tour of the facility, please do not hesitate to call at 914-476-3374. You'll find that St. Michael's Home is not an alternative, it's a choice. Thank you for your time. For St. Michael's Home, I'm Ernie Anastos.